So we've come to Tenerife to try out the latest in scenery bashing vehicles. It's wide, it's low, a little bit heavy, it's got really comfortable seats. The golf buggy of choice for the connoisseur of the touring world. No, we haven't, we've come to do this. This is the 2018 Harley-Davidson Sport Glide. And there may be some amongst you who think that putting Harley-Davidson and sport into the same sentence is something of a folly, but I'm here to tell you that there is a paradigm shift going on in the world of cruisers. This bike is something of a mechanical marvel. Let's start with the big hitting numbers. It will cost you £14,999, £350 more if you want it in this fetching burgundy red or the silver option. The flat rate of a quid under 15 grand is for the black option only. Power, it makes about 90 brake horsepower. It comes from this engine, the 1745cc Harley-Davidson motor, and it makes 174 Newton meters of torque. The power delivery from low to mid-range, more than you need. The chassis is the latest in the Softail range, Softail family, this new chassis that they had last year, and this bike has been made to fill a gap in the range, and it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. If you come from a sports bike background, or more importantly an adventure bike background, you should take this bike out for a ride. It will surprise you. It's got 18-inch wheels on the front, a 16-inch wheel on the rear, and that 18-inch wheel on the front, is very stable, very precise. You can pitch it wherever you want to put it. It will track a line. It's absolutely fantastic. 18.9 litre fuel tank. We spent all day riding around Tenerife. We went up onto the volcano, through the national park, and we used a quarter of a tank. Now, there are no MPG figures for this at the moment, but as soon as we do a long-term test on this, we'll let you know how they go. But 18.9 litres, comfortable for all day riding. We only filled it up just before we got back to the hotel, and we used a quarter of a tank throughout that. New to this range are the Panniers and the Attachable fairing. Panniers, all new for this bike, the Sport Glide. Very easy, they operate with one hand operation. You pull a lever up here and they open, and then to take them off the bike, it's a handle inside and they lift clean off. This is new for Harley-Davidson, first time we've seen it on the soft tail, soft tail in the soft glides. A really very nice system. The fairing bolts directly onto the forks. Now you just bolt it on, you can clamp it on and clamp it off, you don't need any tools to do it, and you can put the fairing on in a couple of minutes. Whilst that's not lockable, Harley-Davidson does assure me that it's almost impossible to remove when the steering locks on, because you can't access the clamp under here to free it up. So don't worry about scrotes taking it. They'll probably give it a good go, but hopefully it will hold them off for long enough. Elsewhere on the bike, other things to tell you, the seat height is 680 millimeters. Very easy to paddle the bike about, which is good because wet. This bike weighs 317 kilos. Now, when you're on the move, it doesn't really matter. The gearbox is fantastic, 6-speed box, the clutch is really light, and that weight just disappears. But if you do want to get a lick on, if you do want to move, you have to stir the gearbox. Not surprising when the bike weighs 317 kilos. Overall, the riding impression of this bike is really, really good. It's settled. It can be a bit sporty if you want it to. The lean angle is immense on this thing. If you go in on a closed throttle in the corner, it will ground out. If you go in on a constant throttle, it doesn't ground out. You can get over a really long way and the foot pegs will touch down. Spring-loaded foot pegs as well. Great, not the solid things that we associate with Harley-Davidson normally. Elsewhere up here, the switchgear, pretty much par for the course as you would expect. We've got cruise control on the left, and we've got the nacelle in the middle here with a large dial and a digital dash. Digital dash you can scroll through, you can find your RPM, your trip meters and everything through using the left-hand switchgear. Negatives about this bike. This is like a pretty brief resume of the bike after a day's riding. I don't like the front brake. Front brake for me, not good. It's fine for cruising, it's fine for plodding, but married to this Softail chassis, I really got into the mood. I really started to enjoy it and I liked grounding the bike out, and it was real fun. Probably riding it in a way that most Harley-Davidson riders wouldn't in real terms. But if you're new to Harley-Davidson and you want to go out and you come from an adventure bike background or a sports bike background, you might want to ride it like that. The front brake, which is a single disc mounted on the left-hand side of the bike, and this bike is not available for a dual disc conversion, by the way. The front brake went very spongy. After a couple of hours of riding fairly hard, certainly for this type of motorcycle, Front brake was spongy, still no adjustable levers on the brake or the clutch. Come on, Harley-Davidson, it's 2018. Let's get some adjustability on the motorcycles. But other than that, I'm really struggling to find things I don't like. The front brake is a personal choice. You might get on very well with it. I like my brake to bite like someone's put a stick in the front wheel. But it's just a bit too spongy for me. You might get on with the levers, but I like that level of adjustment to suit my needs. But I'm nitpicking now for any other issues with this bike. The power comes in really nice and low, broad spread. It runs out pretty quick at the top of the rev range. So you have to be ready to change gear. You have to be on top of it on this bike. But physically, quite small, quite compact. We have some big chief from Harley-Davidson here at the launch in Tenerife. And they've told me that this is meant to be a commuter bike, a cruiser. You can put the fairing on and the panniers and do a big trip. But when you don't want that, you take your stuff off. This is the idea behind the Sport Glide. You can go have some fun on it as well. And it fulfills all of those briefs. No matter how you look at it, this bike is a very accomplished motorcycle. In fact, I'd go as far as to say it's probably my favourite of the Harley-Davidson range. Road Glide just to one side, but this is probably my favourite. 15 grand is a lot of money. There's no getting away from it, but you do get quite a lot of Harley-Davidson for your money here. There are other bikes out there that will be a strong contender for that 15 grand out of your pocket. KTM, Super Dukes or something like that if you're looking to do miles and still have a bit of fun. You can do miles, you can have a bit of fun on this, and you get the Harley-Davidson badge. And just as a little slight aside, check out the badge. This is the first time this badge has been seen. It's a specific for the Sport Glide. A little bit similar to the Night Train, if you remember that. But this is an all-new badge. And for Harley-Davidson, that's quite a thing, quite a statement. The factory are very proud of this bike. They wanted us to ride it in a way that we felt comfortable. Quite a few people on the launch felt comfortable in riding it in quite a sporty way. And yeah, hats off to them, really. Just a few minor niggles that would turn this from a great bike into an exceptional bike for me. The weight is not an issue. Don't worry about 317 kilo wet, not a problem. But adjustable levers, a better front brake, and it would just be, you know, at the moment it's 95%. It's that little extra bit will get up there. But if you haven't ridden a Harley-Davidson before, I urge you to go and have a test ride on the 2018 Sport Glide. If you have ridden Harley-Davidsons before, I urge you to go and have a test ride on the 2018 Sport Glide, because this motorcycle, the whole of that new era of Harley-Davidsons, the whole of the new Softail range, it's a paradigm shift, it's a sea change. This is Harley-Davidson 2.0, and you would do yourself well to get out and have a ride on it. I heartily recommend it. That's it, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for plenty more on More Bikes.